Hello, gorgeous, lovely star seeds and light workers. It's Alexander Quinn, and I do hope you're well. We have a trinity of incredible energies hitting us today. We have the seven planetary alignment, which is going to show us where we are both in alignment and disalignment, where we have been integral to the usage of the energies and the attributes of the planets, and where we have misused them. We've also got incredible anomalies going on in the Schumann resonance at this moment in time, and the sun is kicking out incredible energies. And the KP was very, very high yesterday. Also, on top of that, we have a new moon in Pisces. So there really is incredible cryptography of energy happening at this moment in time, just specifically today. So I do hope you're well. Recently, a lot of clients and friends have been coming to me and saying, it's really crazy, but as the energy increases, my mind is playing funny tricks on me. I can't remember the address. I can't remember of where I'm going. I can't remember my name some days. I can't remember my PIN code. Just last night, Alexandra, I walked into the kitchen to go and get something, and when I got there, I can't remember why I was there. And then I went back to the sitting room, and then when I got back there, I can't remember why I'd been in the kitchen, and vice versa, and so on. Now, these are partly to do with temporal shifts when you're jumping dimensionality, but they're also partly linked to your physiology changing and specifically your psychology changing, which are inextricably linked because the two are the synapse of the brain and brain chemistry and processing brain power specifically linked to memory, which is what this video is about today. And so friends and family and clients have been saying, so why has my memory been so strange recently? Why have I been having these lapses? Well, increasingly, as we go from a material 3D construct reality into into a multidimensional reality or a fifth dimensional consciousness unity vibration, as we transcend through 4D or the astral, the rules are going to change in much the same way that physics changes in a higher vibration. That's how we get these ships that can um, go in and out of the visible light spectrum and dematerialize. Physics changes in different dimensionalities and different energies, and so does the physiology and the brain, and so does memory. And so, in a previous 3D state or a lower vibrational non-unity linear consciousness, the ego used memory in terms of identity, attachment, and in linear time. So as we go into what people call 5D or really just you're more of your multidimensional self, who you actually really are, as opposed to being in the illusion of who you feel familiar or safe being in an older energy, even though it's not who you really are. You're waking up to more of your actual real cosmic self, but it can come with resistance. And so I wanted to channel my Arcturian to get the really juicy reason behind this and to get the science, that galactic science behind this. And that's exactly what I've done. So I've actually got this message that I managed to get 2 days ago. And this is what my Arcturian has to say specifically about why memory is starting to get strange as we go into these bigger and higher energies and the reasoning around it. Okay, so here we go. In three-dimensional space-time, time is perceived as a linear sequence, past, present, and future. The human brain operates within this construct, processing events sequentially, which results in memory being inherently linear. The past is stored and the present moment is continuously filtered through this framework, reinforcing an identity anchored in temporal progression. However, within the quantum field, which encompasses a superposition of infinite possibilities, each moment represents a potential new state, a continuous evolution of self beyond classical constraints. So what they're saying is in every new moment, there's a new you, there's a new you, there's a new you, there's a new you, there's a new you. Just like in the same way that information that you've already processed, the moment you processed it in the quantum field is already old information. So what might be your truth a few moments ago is already a new truth in a new format, in a new vibration, formatting in a new way already. Yeah. That's how source works. It works through in order to know itself. And once it knows itself, it's already expanded out of that frequency vibration, whatever that truth is or information. Same with the information I'm giving you now. Let's continue. In higher vibrational states of consciousness, memory functions differently because all temporal moments exist in non-linearity. Within a fifth density collective awareness, cognition is no longer bound by the causality of past experiences, shaping present actions. Instead, one gains access to a form of quantum cognition where knowledge and awareness are drawn from a higher dimensional field akin to the instantaneous retrieval of information from a distributed network. And I think what they're alluding to is, for example, you want to know something, you go onto the internet, you go to Google, you type it, and you find it. Increasingly, we will evolve into an ascended planet where you won't need to have Google. Google will be in the soup of the quantum field, and thought will activate, drawing that information to you without having to interface via a computer. This shift in perception can manifest as momentary forgetfulness or a sense of temporal disorientation, as the brain's classical processes struggle to interpret a multidimensional reality where past and future merge into an expanded now. This transition aligns with principles of quantum entanglement and non-locality, where spatial and temporal separations lose meaning in favor of a unified field of influence. Okay, I'm just going to carry on. In quantum mechanics, particles exist in probabilistic states until observed unbound by classical notions of space and time. Their interactions transcend locality, hinting at a reality where time is not a rigid unidirectional flow, but rather an interconnected fluid continuum. As consciousness expands, individuals attune to the quantum nature of existence, where time's linearity dissolves and memory shifts from a fixed recollection system to an adaptive dynamic field of information exchange. This transition results in a diminished attachment to past identities, as the self becomes increasingly resonant with an overarching non-linear state of awareness. So in other words, what they're trying to say here is memory is also linked to your sense of identity in a linear way based on the past. So it's basically saying you need to let go of that so you can expand more easily. The ego, a construct deeply linked to self-preservation and continuity, naturally resists this transition. It anchors identity within the sequential framework of past experiences, reinforcing a sense of stability within 3 and 4 dimensional constructs. The ego perceives linear memory as essential for coherence and security, associating the unknown with a loss of control. As consciousness ascends to higher states, the ego's reliance on past experiences for self-definition creates resistance to the dissolution of temporal constraints. This manifests as psychological tension as the mind struggles between maintaining a constructed identity and embracing a more fluid quantum integrated self. Okay, so we're coming on to the last part now. Furthermore, the ego thrives on attachment, whether to people, places, or narratives. When shifting into a higher dimensional awareness, the release of these attachments may evoke disorientation or fear, as the ego perceives change as a loss rather than a transformation. However, true quantum alignment involves the relinquishing of rigid attachments, enabling the self to exist in a state of dynamic coherence with the larger quantum field. And then this next bit is very, very interesting because what they go on to say here is that how the banking system will now change. So when you have a bank account, you'll have a chip and pin, or you'll have a password to access that, and it's set in stone, and then you memorize it. And what they're about to say here is that quantum cryptographic keys and passwords will then, in the future, in a higher vibrational collective society, will shift configurations based on real-time necessity rather than predetermined sequences. So what they're saying there is you won't have a chip in a pin or something that's in linear time that you remember. It'll be fluid. The password will be fluid. It'll change. It'll be something different in a year's time, and you'll have to pick out of the quantum field what the password is in relation to at that moment in time. Consciousness in higher states will adapt to fluidity, operating in synchronicity with the unfolding reality. Ultimately, this transition is not about erasing memory, but about detaching from its limiting constraints. As the ego holds on to linear time, diminishes consciousness. As the ego holds on to linear time, diminishes, consciousness moves towards a state of quantum fluidity, where identity is no longer defined by past narratives, but by an ever-present evolving connection to the greater quantum field of existence. And so there we have it from my Arcturian, a kind of quantum psychological scientific explanation of why it is that memory is changing and evolving, and why it's becoming more fluid, and why we feel that we're losing it and forgetting things. Now, this is not said in concrete to age. This is happening to people of all ages. This is not something that is primarily happening to older people. It's happening to people of all ages at this moment in time. So for those of you that are watching who are older within the human time frame, don't think that it is unique to you only. It is unique to most ages at this moment in time. I personally think it's absolutely fascinating how, as we are ascending, our physiology and psychology is changing. And so, as within, above, and so on, as above, so below, and so on, so on. The energy is going to be very intense over this weekend. So do take care of yourself. We're having some crazy anomalies in the Schumann resonance, and the sun is just packing out some incredible energies at this moment in time. So do take care. It's lovely to see you, and I'll see you very shortly. Keep following me on Telegram and Facebook because I'm putting out those regular details every single day, nearly every day, about what's going on and how it may be affecting you and why. God bless, Godspeed, and much love. Bye bye.